Hi everyone, I'm Susan Enderson and welcome to Janome Live. Today I'd like to share with you the 9-hole cording foot and some of the wonderful things it will do and why this is a must-have accessory foot in your toolbox. This is the 9-hole cording foot. You can see where it's got all these wonderful little holes to feed all kinds of decorative threads and so forth that way. You can create your own if you want to by simply wrapping or twisting the cords. I've gotten some heavier cord here. Now what I have here, what I like about this as opposed to the 3-hole, which I also like, but what I like about this one is I've got all these different holes to choose from so I can line my cording anywhere within my 9mm swing of my design. So if I want the cords close together, I can put them staggered, different holes. I can use the back holes. I can use all 9 holes depending upon how thick my cord is, and set up any kind of combination of cords any way I like. Now to thread the machine or to thread the foot, you do want to have this off your machine when you're threading it. It does come with a needle threader. The needle threader right through the center hole, like so, and comes up out of the top. Then I'm going to take the cord I want to use. This is simple, guys. And I'm going to put this through the little loop in the guide or in the needle threader, like so. And then I'm just going to pull it so that it goes right through the presser foot, just like that. So I can load as many or as few cords as I want. Once you have the cords through the foot like you want it to. Now I've done some a little different here. Not only have I done the center one on the back row, but I've done the 2 outside ones on the bottom row. This is going to give me a different layout for my threads or my cording and get them a little closer together from the outside edge of the swing of the needle, so I could do a 7mm stitch pattern as opposed to a 9 if I preferred. But right now I just wanted to show you how this was done. I'm going to just do a couple of sample things here. I've got just some sample fabric, and I do this before I do any project or before I'm trying out any new technique. I'm going to run off some tests just so I can get exactly what I want before I ever go to my project. And I get this attached to the machine. And then I'm going to go over here to my machine, select decorative patterns. I'm going to go to satin stitch, and I'm going to choose pattern number 2. This gives me a zigzag on the left, a zigzag on the right, and a zigzag in the center. Jumps completely over now. I missed a little bit here, so that means I'm going to have to guide it just a little bit more. But I can also, this is at a 7mm. Let's take it up to a 9 and see what kind of a difference I get now. Okay, I've not changed anything other than the overall width of the pattern. And it got caught there at the beginning, so we're going to have to play a little bit to get it back where it belongs. There, we got it. Now that's covering the design a little bit better, I think. Yeah, see where I got it caught here first. I like that better than I like the 7mm. That 9 worked out really, really well this time. So there's my setting for this particular setup, or for this particular layout of my cords, is I will increase the stitch width up to 9mm. I left it at a 0.4 satin stitch element, which feeds it nicely. Now I have doubled, actually quadrupled these cordings. So rather than just pulling the single thread off the spool as I did beginning, I took my little spinner and twisted the cords together to make a heavier cord for it. It does take a little bit more to thread it through the machine, but I like the effect I got. Here's a little tip. When you've got all these cords going into your presser foot, it's sometimes hard to keep them as you're threading them through. Sometimes it's hard to keep them in place. What I do is I take them after I've got them threaded through, and I will do like an overhand knot to keep the threads together. Then when I get it lined up or get it ready to go on my machine, it looks like I've got spaghetti here, I know, but I don't. Everything is laid out nice and neat. I'm just going to pull all those cords completely through. The knots are on the back of the machine or on the back of the presser foot like this. I just pull them past the end of the presser foot. I'm going to attach my presser foot to the machine again. I still have white thread in my machine. And then I'm going to lay them out nice and flat in front of the presser foot before I start sewing. Again, I'm going to do another test sample going down just a plain piece of fabric. And we'll use the same design this time just so you can get a different idea of what it looks like with 9 cords in the presser foot. Allow it to feed through and get everything locked in. Now this does not work well for doing a reverse stitch. So if you have a pattern that you've selected that has a reverse to it, meaning that it will go forward and then it'll jump back in the stitching pattern, not that far, but it goes forward and then back and forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, even though it's doing a width to it as well. You're going to find that the foot doesn't like, the cords don't like going backwards. They're going to get all tangled up and it's going to be a mess. So I'm just going to run this same pattern over 9 cords this time, trying to keep these as nice and straight as I possibly can. And see how we like that effect. The yellow one getting lost down in there. There we go. There we are. And for fun, let's try a different pattern. This might be kind of fun. Let's see how this one goes. But it's not as long as it could be. And that shows you here what a more open stitch would give you and where the satin stitch that I was doing before on this one. Now look at the difference between what I did with just 3 heavy cords and what I did with 9 single cords. Completely different look. But I like it. This time I've gone and I've only filled the holes closest to the needle, so the back 5. I've left the front 4 open. And I've done that same pattern, number 21, under Heirloom, across the front of this. It's got a little reverse stitch, but it's not a long enough stitch that it's going to ball up the cords and get them kinked into the machine. But I want you to see the difference in this. This is way cool. I'm really liking this one. I've also shortened the stitch length to 1.7 on that. Look at that pretty stitch now. All red, white, and blue. But it pulled the red cord and the blue cords together on the outside, and the white cord it left straight in the middle. I like the way that turned out. Wouldn't that be great on a pocket of jeans? Or how about a purse? That'd be nice on a purse bag too. Going down the handle on a bag, that would really be nice. All right, here's what I found out. I was working with just the 5 holes in the back of the presser foot. Those are the only holes that I used for this. Just the back 5. Used just the back 5 holes in the presser foot. And I went ahead and tried stitching on a piece of ribbon. Well, it didn't work out too well just stitching on the ribbon, so I tried using a sticky stabilizer to keep the ribbon in place, and what happened was the foot's a little too wide, and for this particular ribbon, maybe if I'd had a wider ribbon it would have been fine, but it kept getting stuck on the stabilizer. So I tried just a plain piece of cutaway, or excuse me, plain piece of tearaway, which worked okay. I wasn't real happy with it. Then I decided, let's just use a washout. So I just used a heavy washout stabilizer underneath my ribbon, and I got the result I wanted. Now I can go ahead and place that ribbon course, not this piece. This is my trout piece, but I could go ahead and do this on a longer piece of ribbon and then place that ribbon wherever I might like, or it could be used for a little girl's hair if she wanted to tie her ribbon, tie her ponytail or something with ribbon that you've decorated to match her outfit. You've got that too. If you do garment construction, or if you're in a project that requires some easing or gathering, the 9-hole cording foot also works great for that. Now I've used the same cords I was doing before, and I've gone through just the 2 in the very front on the front row. So the center 2 on the front row. I've also chosen pattern number 12 on my utility pattern selections. This is my 2-step zigzag, and it allows me just to go ahead and stitch directly towards. Now you don't have to use a different color. I did this for your benefit so that you could see what I was doing. And again, this is my test sample to see that it would work properly. And I'm just going to pull this out now. And I can pull my heavy cords, and my fabric's going to ease or gather as much as I want. I don't have to worry about breaking a thread or anything else when I'm gathering. So you have that kind of an application you can do with your 9-hole cording foot. This one actually does it better, I think, than the 3-hole, because I can get the holes or get the cords exactly where I want them to be. But there's your just 2 holes in that respect. Now I've gone and selected pattern number 29 from the quilting category. This gives me stitches that are directly across from each other, so I can use it for pleating. But I've made 2 classes instead of just 1, starting and stopping at the same stitch selection or same stitching point. And then I've used a size number 1 double-pointed knitting needle to thread underneath cords, raising up the pleats in between. This is going to keep my pleats vertical while I use the button stitch from my machine. This is just the one where you attach the button, and I'm using my button foot as well, the number T that it asks for. And I'm going to go ahead and do smocking in next to one of the knitting needles down into like the valley as opposed to the peak, which would be the top of the pleat. And I recommend you use the little wheel on the side to check to make sure that the distance that you're stitching or the zigzag is going to not stitch through the knitting needles. We don't want that. We just want to stitch over the knitting needles. And 3 to 3.5 worked fine. And again, I'm just using it on a plain lightweight fabric. Now, if you use washout thread to do your pleating, you're not going to have any ripping to do either. This is another place to use that washout thread. This is what will look like old-fashioned handwork smocking when you're done. It takes a little bit more time, but here's another place where your 9-hole cording foot is really going to make it easier. After you've completed one, just move on to the next one. Now you're going to pick up the last pleat from the first stitch and then go to the next pleat to do your next stitch pattern. Now I've zoomed way in so you can see exactly where my stitching is going to be or where my needle position is in accordance to the pleating that I've done with the 9-hole cording foot. So you can see where it's going over and it's picking up 2 pleats at a time and pinching them together. That's your typical hand look smocking, and that's what this technique is. Again, I'm taking up the last pleat of the previous stitch, and then I'm going to jump over the needle and pick up the next pleat. And you can continue this and make all kinds of patterns. You can change the thread color or whatever else you might like to do with it. There's so much you can do with this. I love my 9-hole cording foot. Now you can see what I was talking about, getting a whole new look to your smocking doing this technique. Now I've gone ahead and removed the cording out. Now if I'd used washout thread to do the actual stitching for the pleating, you wouldn't see that at all. All you would see would be this lovely handwork look. Now I've rethreaded my 9-hole cording foot with 3 white and 2 red. The red is on the outside, the 3 whites are towards the center. And I'm doing one of the cross stitch patterns. Look at how beautiful that turns out. Lovely design. I'm checking out because I'm thinking about putting it on a ready wear, and I want to make sure I have the right setup. And I have a cat. You can also add this technique directly to ready wear. Start at one seam, making sure you have plenty of cording left over because you're going to want to embed it into the seam when you're done. Either use a darning needle or a knit pick and pull the cords through the seam from the back. So the 9-hole cording foot will add just that little bit of a touch of personalization to anything you create. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to stop by your local dealer and pick up the 9-hole cording foot along with any of the other accessories shown on today's video. I'm Susan Enderson. I'll see you again on Janome Live. Bye for now.